The diner smelled like burnt toast and rain-soaked leather. The morning crowd was quiet. A few truckers, a waitress humming by the counter, and one lone biker sitting near the window. His name was Ryder, and his black leather jacket bore the red and white patch that made most people keep their distance. Hell's Angels. He wasn't there to cause trouble. Just coffee. Black. No sugar. The door creaked open, and a small boy walked in. Couldn't have been more than 7. His clothes were too thin for the weather, and his eyes, they had that empty, scared look no child should ever wear. He shuffled to the counter, clutching a crumpled dollar. "Can I have a muffin?" he asked quietly. The waitress frowned. "Sweetheart, that's not enough." The boy nodded like he expected that answer. "It's okay." He turned to leave, but as he passed Ryder's table, the biker noticed something. Bruises. Dark, fresh ones, circling his wrists like someone had grabbed him too hard. Ryder set his cup down slowly. "Hey kid," he said softly. "You all right?" The boy froze, eyes wide. "I'm not gonna hurt you," Ryder said gently, holding his palms up. "Who did that to your arms?" The boy swallowed hard, voice trembling. "My mom's boyfriend. He says I lie, but I don't." His lower lip quivered. "He said if I tell anyone, he'll find me." The diner went silent. The waitress turned away, pretending to refill coffee just to hide her face. Ryder looked down at his half-empty cup, steam still curling from the top, then back at the boy. His jaw tightened. He pushed the cup aside. "You stay right here, kid." The boy blinked. "Why?" Ryder stood, his boots heavy against the floor. "Because I don't finish my coffee when someone needs me." Ryder's boots hit the ground hard as he stepped outside, scanning the street through the fog diner window. The little boy watched from the booth, his hands trembling around the mug of cocoa the waitress had given him. "Where do you live, kid?" Ryder asked, his voice steady but low. The boy hesitated. "Trailer park. 2 miles that way," he said, pointing toward a dirt road. "He's probably home. He doesn't like when I talk to people." Ryder nodded, his expression unreadable. "You stay here with her," he said to the waitress, jerking his chin toward the boy. "Lock the door behind me." The waitress swallowed hard. "You're not." "Just keep him safe," Ryder said, pulling on his gloves. He swung onto his Harley, the engine roaring to life. The sound shattered the quiet morning as he tore down the road, gravel spitting under his tires. When he reached the trailer park, the place looked exactly like the kind of place he hated. Paint peeling, broken bottles in the dirt, and anger hanging in the air. Outside one trailer, a man stood smoking, arms covered in tattoos that meant nothing, just ink for intimidation. Ryder parked, killed the engine, and walked straight up to him. "You Mike?" The man sneered. "Who's asking?" Ryder stepped closer. "I'm the one that just heard what you did to a 7-year-old boy." The cigarette dropped from the man's mouth. "You talking about my kid? You some kind of cop?" Ryder's tone stayed quiet. "Worse." The man laughed, until Ryder grabbed him by the collar, slamming him against the side of the trailer so hard the whole thing shook. "You lay another hand on that kid, I swear to God, you'll be lucky if the cops get to you before I do." The man's bravado vanished. "You don't know what you're talking about." Ryder leaned in closer, his voice like gravel. "I know enough. I saw the bruises." Behind him, the sound of engines filled the park, for more bikes rolling in, engines rumbling like thunder. Tank, Diesel, and the others dismounted, forming a silent wall behind Ryder. Tank crossed his arms. "Problem." Ryder didn't take his eyes off the man. Not anymore. When he finally let go, the man stumbled back, shaking. Ryder turned to his crew. "Call social services. Tell him there's a kid who ain't going back here." By the time the cops arrived, the Angels were already gone. Just tire tracks in the dirt and the echo of engines fading down the road. Back at the diner, the boy sat waiting, staring at the door. When it finally opened, Ryder walked in, dust on his boots, a calmness in his eyes. "Is he gone?" the boy asked softly. Ryder knelt down, resting a hand on his shoulder. "He won't hurt you again, kid. Not ever." The boy's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Ryder smiled faintly. "You don't thank me. You just lived better than he ever did." As they stepped back outside, the rising sun caught on the chrome of Ryder's bike. The boy stared at it in awe. "Where are you going now?" he asked. Ryder put on his helmet, smirking. "Wherever the next kid needs me." And with that, the roar of the engine swallowed the morning once more, a sound that would forever mean safety to one little boy who finally learned what real strength looked like. The sun was barely up the next morning when the little boy woke to the rumble of engines outside his foster home. He ran to the window, pulling the curtain aside, and there they were. Ryder and his crew, lined up on their bikes like guardians of the dawn. He burst through the door barefoot, hair wild, eyes shining. "You came back," he yelled, sprinting across the yard. Ryder grinned beneath his sunglasses. "Told you I would, kid." Tank, the big one with the beard, stepped off his bike and handed the boy a small brown bag. "Got you something," he said. Inside was a leather bracelet, tiny but strong, engraved with 2 words, "Stay brave." The boy looked up, his lip trembling. "I'm gonna wear it forever." Ryder crouched down, eye to eye. "You remember what I told you yesterday?" "Don't thank you," the boy whispered. "Just live better." Ryder smiled. "That's my guy." From the porch, the foster mom, a kind woman with tired eyes, watched them quietly. "He hasn't smiled like that in months," she said softly. "You've done more for him than you know." Ryder stood, brushing the dust from his knees. "He's the tough one. We just showed up." The engine started again, the roar filling the morning air like thunder rolling across the hills. The boy waved both arms high, his bracelet glinting in the sunlight. "Ride safe," he shouted. Ryder turned his head just long enough to call back. "Always do, kid." As the Hells Angels disappeared down the highway, the sound faded into the distance. But to that little boy, it wasn't noise. It was a promise. Because that day, he didn't just meet bikers. He met men who refused to walk away when someone was hurting. Men who turned pain into protection and silence into strength. And every night after that, before closing his eyes, he'd whisper to himself, "They came for me once." That means there's hope for everyone. Years later, the boy, now a young man, stood in that same diner where it had all begun. The place had changed a little, new paint, a new jukebox, but the smell of coffee and rain was the same. He sat at the very booth where Ryder once set down his cup, the memory still clear as day. The waitress, older now, smiled as she poured him coffee. "You look familiar," she said. He smiled faintly. "I used to come here with a bruise or two." Her eyes softened. "You're that boy." He nodded. "Yeah, the angels found me." She set the pot down and shook her head, tears welling. "Ryder would have loved to see you now." The young man blinked. "He's gone." She nodded softly. "Past last year. Cancer. But he rode till the end. Said the road's not something you leave, it's something you become." The words hit like a quiet thunder. The young man looked down at his wrist, the old leather bracelet still there, faded but strong. "Stay brave." He smiled through the ache. Then he still ridened. Outside, a convoy of bikes rumbled by, their jackets marked with the same red and white wings. He stepped out of the diner, the wind brushing against his face. For a moment, he swore he saw Ryder among them. Helmet tilted, that same calm smile, and a nod that said, "You made it, kid." He stood there until the sound faded into the horizon, whispering, "Thanks for coming back for me." Then he turned, got into his truck, and drove off down the same road. Not running this time, but following. Because now he understood what Ryder meant. The road wasn't about where you go. It was about who you become along the way. And somewhere, under that endless stretch of sky, the sound of engines rolled on, carrying one more story of courage, one more reminder that kindness still rides among us. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because kindness doesn't always wear a smile, and heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they walk in covered in dust, carrying stories that could change your heart forever.